Every generation hunts for a reflection. In basketball, reflections lie. They twist. They seduce. They deceive. For nearly 10 years, Larry Bird didn't just play the game. He was the game. A cold-blooded killer in Converse, slicing defenses with passes, dagger jumpers, and a voice sharp enough to draw blood. But because he was white in a league ruled by black excellence, the media clung to a fantasy. Every tall, white forward with a jump shot, the next Larry Bird. The crown glittered, but it came with a noose. Some chased the name, some crumbled beneath it, and a few had to face the real thing. Hear that slow Indiana drawl before getting torched in front of the world. That moment wasn't a passing of the torch. It was a funeral for the myth. The mid-1980s. Tom Chambers is on the rise. At 6'6", with springy legs and rim-splitting dunks, Chambers isn't just a good power forward, he's a phenomenon. He has a lightning-fast start, an arrogant demeanor, and a bubbling confidence. He's white, yes, but he plays like he was cut from the sky. That alone has the media buzzing. Could this be the successor? Is this an upgraded Bird? Larry with more bounce? People don't just whisper it. They print it. They fan the story. And the word spreads. Chambers, the modern physical frontman. Bird, the tactical mastermind, cold and precise. If Bird was Beethoven, Chambers was Hendrix. The future, the remix, the successor. Even Chambers' teammate Xavier McDaniel, never one to shy away from telling the truth, couldn't help but add fuel to the fire. I've never seen a white guy play like that, except Larry Bird. Then the game began. Boston versus Seattle. Bird versus expectation, reality versus reflection. From the very first pitch, Larry Bird made his intentions clear. He walked past Chambers, leaned in close enough for only one person to hear, and whispered in his Indiana monotone, "There's only one man who can guard me, and that's God." Chambers frozen. Was it a boast? A joke? A preemptive strike? And then the carnage began. Bird didn't explode. He dissected. Moved like a grandmaster, always 4 moves ahead. Every feint was a trap, every shoulder tilted a lure. Fakes so invisible you barely knew you'd been fooled. Fadeaways that flew past Chambers' outstretched arms. Jump shots so soft the net barely quivered. And step-back threes, soaring into the sky and then falling like a knife. Chambers tried everything. Speed, power, bounce. But all were for naught. Because Bird didn't beat you with his physicality. He beat you with his truth. By halftime, all comparisons were dead. Not gently, but brutally. Chambers wasn't the heir, nor was he the rival. He was a shadow, a backdrop, a paper man standing in front of the express train. Bird didn't just want to win, he wanted to kill the conversation. His message was clear, not just to Chambers, but to everyone sitting in the stands, pen in hand, writing down new names. This is not a torch to be passed. This is a fire, and only I can bear it. Because for Larry, it was more than competition. It was pride. It was a hierarchy. It was at the top of the pyramid.
He definitely took it as an insult if you put a white dude on him.
Not because of his skin color, but because of the implicit message it carried. That you thought someone who looked like him was enough to replace him. That greatness could be copied. That Bird was a template, not a unique one. And for Larry Bird, that was an unforgivable insult. That night, the illusion of Bird 2.0 collapsed. Stamina? It's lightning. But Bird is thunder, slow, inescapable. And once it strikes forever.
I'm just saying,
We
hadn't seen it
who's
then.
going to be matched up against Larry Bird?
It wasn't a tactical question. It was panic dressed in professionalism. A nervous whisper on the bench from someone who knew exactly what was coming and wanted no part of it. That night, the Pistons rolled out 3 names. Kelly Tripucka, Bill Laimbeer, Kent Benson, all white, all scrappy, all convinced they were ready for the storm. But Larry Bird didn't study names on scouting reports. He studied energy. As the teams lined up for the opening tip, Bird scanned the court with that crooked half smile, the one that always came before somebody got torched. "Who's guarding me tonight?" he asked, half bored. "Tripucka," someone answered. Bird chuckled, not a friendly chuckle, the kind of laugh you hear right before the guillotine drops. Blood was coming. Within minutes, it was obvious. Tripucka was hemorrhaging points, pulled out of position, guessing wrong, feet growing heavier with each possession. Bird didn't look fast, but he moved like it was inevitable. Fadeaways that were fingertips, post-ups that felt like slow death, jab steps that whispered danger, even when they looked lazy. Detroit made the switch. Bill Laimbeer, the bruiser, the brawler, the one who weaponized elbows and glared his way into brawls.
It's because he was a dirty player.
Bird once said, his voice dripping with disdain, he didn't just want to win, he wanted to make sure his opponents felt every ounce of his aggression. But Bert didn't flinch. He ducked baseline, pump-faked Laimbeer into the air, and dropped a feather-soft jumper over the outstretched hand. Swish. Cold. Clean. Clinical. Then came Kent Benson. Slower. Bulkier. Less agile. A walking target. Bird barely acknowledged him, just used him as a traffic cone to show the rest of the NBA what inevitability looks like in motion. After slicing through all three like warm butter, Bird turned to his bench and muttered in disgust, "Man, you can't put no white dude on me." This wasn't arrogance. This was code. A twisted, deeply personal code. But one Bird lived by. He didn't just want to beat you. He wanted to beat someone who mattered. To him, putting Tripucka, Laimbeer, or Benson on him wasn't a strategy. It was disrespectful. A slap in the face. And then the words came, a raw memory recounted.
Our back line at one time, it was Kelly Tripucka, Bill Laimbeer, Ken Benson. 3 white dudes. We walk out on the court and he said, "Who guarding me?"
Bird wasn't just playing against these men. He was playing against the disrespect of being compared to them. Bird wanted Rodman. He wanted Vinnie Johnson. He wanted Joe Dumars, Sidney Moncrief, the real Warriors. The defenders who brought the heat, the pressure, the fire. Because Bird didn't fear resistance. He thrived in it. Assigning some token white forward to guard him wasn't defense. It was a message. You're just another white guy. You can be guarded by one of your own. And Larry? Larry took that personally. He didn't crave mirrors, he craved a fight. He wasn't looking for someone like him. He was daring someone to stop him. He didn't want echoes. He wanted enemies. And if you disrespected him, you didn't just lose. You got erased. The late 1980 in Golden State, the Bay was electric with the kind of excitement that only a team on the brink of greatness could inspire. The Warriors were rising. And at the forefront of it all was Chris Mullin, the left-handed sharpshooter whose jump shot seemed crafted by divine hands. Mullin didn't rely on athleticism. He was the type of player who dissected defenses with precision, his game a ballet of calculated moves. Every dribble, every pass, every shot seemed like poetry in motion.
Larry was so blunt.
But that night, Larry Bird wasn't interested in poetry. He wasn't watching Mullin. His eyes had already locked onto Mullin's teammate Tom Tolbert. The scene was ordinary enough. Warm-ups, sneakers squeaking, the crowd slowly heating up. But then, a moment shifted everything. Bird strolled over, his presence commanding attention, and in that calm, merciless Indiana drawl, he delivered the first strike of the night.
And I'm starting and I'm guarding Larry Bird. Then Chris is out there, hi to Larry, shake hands, blah, blah, blah. And Larry looks at me, he looks over at Chris, and do you remember what he said to you? He goes, "You guys gonna guard me with a white guy?"
Let me tell you though.
I looked over at Larry, I go, "Dude, I'm just trying to make a living, all right?"
The words hit harder than any screen. The weight of Bird's challenge settled in. He tried to brush it off with a nervous laugh, but Bird's gaze didn't waver. His voice didn't soften. This wasn't a joke. This was a declaration. Bird wasn't just taking the court, he was claiming it. And Tolbert? He was merely a pawn in Bird's mental game. When the whistle blew, Bird didn't waste time. From the first possession, it was clear. Bird wasn't just playing basketball, he was controlling it. It wasn't about speed, it wasn't about height, it was about something far deeper. The way Bird read the game, manipulated it, and bent it to his will. Every dribble felt like a drumbeat, each fake a setup to dismantle his defender's confidence. His shot? It was an inevitability, one that was already written before Tolbert could even react. Bird didn't rely on the same physical attributes others used to dominate. He didn't need to outjump you. He didn't need to outrun you. He outsmarted you. His basketball IQ was a level of genius that no physical defender, no matter how athletic, could ever anticipate. Bird played in the gaps between movements, seeing the game 3 steps ahead. And Tolbert? He was always behind, always playing catch-up. Every time Tolbert tried to step up, Bird was already a step ahead, a step closer to the perfect execution. At one point, Tolbert managed to get in position, trying to contest Bird's shot. He rose up, hand outstretched, hoping to disrupt the inevitable. Bird paused in midair, looked him dead in the eyes and whispered, "Yep, that's a shot. Swish. Clean. Precise. Cold as ice." The crowd erupted, but Bird wasn't swayed. His face remained neutral, unaffected by the roar. He simply jogged back down the court, calm, collected, and already setting his sights on the next opportunity, the next strike. Tolbert fought hard. He hustled. He sweat buckets trying to stay in front, but effort didn't matter here. Bird wasn't playing against Tolbert's body, he was playing inside his mind. Every time Tolbert was a split second late, every time he guessed wrong, Bird's confidence grew, and the gap between them widened. Slowly at first, but then with crushing finality.
You know, people ask me all the time, who's the hardest player, and I always say him, because I played against Michael Jordan, George Gervin, Andrew Toney, and those guys, when they pass the ball, they have a tendency to take a break for a second. Larry never going to take a break. Larry's going to go get an offensive rebound. He's going to go set a back pick. He's going to do something to impact that possession, so that's why he was the hardest.
Michael Cooper's words are a testament to what Tolbert, and anyone who faced Bird, experienced firsthand. Bird didn't just play the game, he owned it. There was no time to rest, no time for his opponents to catch their breath. Bird was always moving, always controlling every moment of the game, whether on offense or defense. That's what made guarding him nearly impossible. By halftime, Bird turned to his teammates, his voice laced with disbelief and disdain, and said, "Man, you can't put no white dude on me." This wasn't arrogance. This was Bird demanding the respect he knew he deserved. He didn't want an easy win. He didn't want a mirror image of himself on the court. Bird craved challenges, players who tested his limits. He wanted fire. He wanted players like Rodman, Moncrief, and Dumar, men who pushed him to prove his greatness every single night. Because Bird didn't just endure pressure, he thrived on it. And when you threw someone like Tolbert at him, it wasn't a challenge. It was disrespect. Bird didn't just beat you in those moments. Hey, it was at you. Denver's coach, Doug Moe, always believed in one thing: toughness, old school grit. So he assigned John Hanslick, a tough defender from Notre Dame, to guard Larry Bird. Bad decision. From the very first moments, Bird displayed his mastery. His turnaround jumpers were smooth, his pump fakes deadly, and his post-ups unstoppable. Hanslick fouled, shoved, and tried to stop him, but it was all in vain. It was like trying to punch a shadow. Bird just glided past him, each possession feeling like a lesson in futility. And then came the moment. Bird jogged past the Nuggets bench, turned to Coach Moe and yelled, "Get him off me. You're disrespecting me by putting a white guy on me."
Bird would always get upset if a white guy guarded him. He would even say to a teammate of the guy guarding him, "I can't believe you guys have a white guy guarding me."
In a later interview, Hanslick shared his experience facing Bird.
I don't remember that ever happening against Larry Bird. But then again, Larry was one of the guys I liked to guard.
Hanslick's words are a clear testament to his helplessness against Bird. Every time Hanslick thought he had caught up with Bird, Bird was already a step ahead, making every effort from Hanslick seem pointless. Every move, every shot was full of confidence, and Bird's patience left Hanslick powerless to stop him. Bird wasn't just playing basketball, he was establishing a hierarchy. He didn't need an easy win, he needed to dominate, to send a message. And when you throw someone like Hanslick at him, it wasn't a challenge, it was disrespect. Bird didn't just beat you, he made you disappear from the court. Charles Barkley had a ton of respect for Larry Bird. He admired his game, his toughness, and the way Bird always seemed to make things happen, even when it looked impossible. But even Barkley, who'd gone toe-to-toe with some of the best, couldn't believe what he heard during one of those Celtics-Sixers matchups. The game was intense, but out of nowhere, Bird jogged over to Barkley, his usual fire in his eyes, but this time with a twist of mock offense. "Yo, man," Bird said, voice low but sharp. "You guys are disrespecting me." Barkley raised an eyebrow, confused. "What are you talking about, LB?" Bird pointed across the court at Bob Thornton, who was trying to guard him but clearly overmatched. "You got a white guy guarding me. That's disrespectful." Barkley couldn't help but chuckle. Bob Thornton was a solid player, no doubt, but Bird was playing on another level. Every time Thornton tried to move with him, Bird would spin or fake him out, making it look effortless. Thornton's best efforts weren't even close to enough to slow Bird down, but as Barkley laughed, he also understood what Bird was really saying. Bird wasn't mocking Thornton. He was sending a message to the entire league. If you're going to guard me, don't put someone who's just a body out there. Bring me someone who can actually compete. Bird wasn't looking for an easy win. He wanted a real challenge. He wanted to face the best, and if the defense wasn't up to par, he made sure everyone knew. It wasn't just about the points. It was about demanding respect. So while Barkley chuckled at the audacity of Bird's words, he knew deep down that Bird wasn't just trying to show off. He was reminding everyone that he wasn't here to play around. He was here to dominate. And if you couldn't bring the competition, Bird wasn't afraid to call you out for it. The Boston Celtics, the Los Angeles Lakers, Magic, Kareem, Showtime. It's a matchup that defined an era. The intensity, the rivalry, the stars, all of it in one epic battle. But in the middle of all that glitz, there was one player who stood apart, Larry Bird. A white guy, yes, but not just any white guy. He was the man who could go toe-to-toe with the very best the NBA had to offer. The player who didn't need flash, no. Bird had something far more lethal, his relentless ability to dominate, and no one felt that dominance more than the Lakers. One night, the Lakers tried everything they had to stop Bird. First, they sent in Vlade Divac, a skilled, tall defender who was known for his size and finesse. But against Bird, it didn't matter. Bird wasn't just bigger, faster, or stronger, he was smarter. He sliced through Divac like a hot knife through butter. Divac couldn't catch up. Then, they tried Kurt Rambis. Tough, gritty, physical. Rambis was known for his defensive prowess. But Bird, he turned him into another victim. Rambis didn't stand a chance. Bird dismantled them both, as if they were just practice drills. And then, in one of the most unforgettable moments in NBA history, Bird strolled over to the Lakers bench. With his usual cocky smirk and that cold, calculating look in his eyes, he turned to the bench and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "You know you can't put another white guy on me. I'm the white guy in this league. You better put a brother on me." The entire bench erupted. Magic Johnson couldn't help but laugh. And even Kareem, the big man, had to grin. But here's the thing. Bird wasn't joking. Not even for a second. He wasn't being disrespectful to the players he had just shredded. He wasn't even disrespecting the Lakers. What he was doing was something far more profound. He was laying down a challenge to the entire league. He was telling them that he was the guy, the only guy who could do what he was doing, day in and day out. In an era dominated by superstars like Magic, Kareem, and later, Michael Jordan, Bird was the only white player who could consistently dominate night after night. He was the one who carried a franchise, led them to championships, and did it with a swagger that was unmatched.
From the beginning, I wanted to be friends, but Larry didn't want none of that. You know, and so, you know, and so I said, okay, if that's how it's gonna be, then we have to be like that. So I started disliking him too.
That's how Magic Johnson felt about Bird when they first met. Competitive, intense, and determined to outdo each other on the court. But as much as they may have clashed off the court, it was clear. When Bird stepped onto the court, there was no one like him. Every next Bird that came after him, whether it was Chris Mullin, Adam Morrison, or even Gordon Hayward, would always shrink in his shadow. They tried to shoot like him. They tried to pass like him, but they didn't have that. They didn't have the swagger that made Bird a legend. Bird wasn't just a player, he was a force. He made the league respect him, made every defender fear him, and he knew exactly who he was. I'm the white guy, and that's how Larry Bird wrote his legacy. One of domination, confidence, and unshakable belief. He wasn't about flashy dunks or highlight reels. He was about outthinking you, outplaying you, and making sure that every time he stepped onto that court, you knew who was running the show. So, next time someone tells you there's another next Larry Bird, just remember this. There will never, ever be another Larry Bird. His legacy isn't just in his skill, it's in the soul he poured into the game. And that's something no one can replicate. There will always be imitators, but there's only one Larry Bird. And no matter who comes next, they'll always fall short of the real thing. The myth never stopped. After Chambers came Mullin. After Mullin came Adam Morrison. After Morrison came Gordon Hayward. Now, It's Luka Doncic. But comparisons are lazy. They flatten the man into a mold. And Bird was never a mold. It was a storm of contradictions. Slow, yet unstoppable. Humble, yet arrogant. Selfless, yet ruthless. He didn't need athleticism. He weaponized psychology. He broke men with words before he broke them with shots. That's why every next Bird failed. They might shoot like him. They might pass like him. But none could embody the swagger, the venom, the legend. Bird himself once joked, "There'll be another Larry Bird one day, but there will never, ever be another Larry Bird." He was right. There are successors in skill, but there are no successors in soul. When Larry Bird faced the next Larry Bird, it wasn't just a basketball matchup. It was a demolition of illusions. Tom Chambers, Chris Mullin, John Hanslick, Bob Thornton, Craig Elo, each represented a torch the media tried to pass. Each left the court singed, humiliated, wiser. Bird didn't just beat them, he narrated their defeats in real time. He told Chambers only God could guard him. He told Elo his mother would watch his embarrassment. He told coaches they were disrespecting him by putting a white player on him. And he told the Lakers bench he was the white guy of the league. Every word was a prophecy. Every prophecy was fulfilled. The lesson wasn't subtle. Greatness isn't about race. It isn't about resemblance. It's about dominance. Bird was dominant not because he looked like anyone, but because he saw the game differently, felt it differently, attacked it with a precision and cruelty that no comparison could capture. So when history looks back, the idea of the next Larry Bird collapses under the weight of truth. There was no next Bird. There was only Bird. His shadow was too wide. His presence is too singular. The media kept searching for mirrors. Larry kept shattering them. And in the end, one truth stood taller than the rest. There will never, ever be another Larry Bird. If you like this video, don't forget to press the subscribe button and ring the bell to receive notifications about the latest videos from our channel. Please leave your comments and suggestions below in the comments section, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. This action also contributes to motivating us to work even more diligently. Have a great day.